Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about something that's often misunderstood. Intelligence, strength, and the choices we make as women. There's a narrative out there that tries to label women, to box them into categories like smart or stupid based on superficial signs. But let me tell you, real intelligence isn't about following someone else's checklist. It's about the courage to live authentically, to rise above judgment, and to embrace your unique journey. Here are 5 signs, not of weakness, but of a woman who's powerful, wise, and unapologetically herself. First, she dares to dream big, even when the world tells her to stay small. A woman who's called foolish for chasing impossible goals is often the one who changes the game. Intelligence isn't just about playing it safe or sticking to what's expected. It's about having the audacity to believe in your vision, even when others can't see it. Whether she's starting a business, creating art, or rebuilding her life after a setback, she knows that dreams are the blueprint for progress. So if someone calls her unrealistic, she smiles, because she's already building the future. Second, she embraces her imperfections. Society loves to point fingers, saying a woman is lesser if she doesn't fit a perfect mold, perfect looks, perfect choices, perfect life. But a truly wise woman knows that perfection is a myth. She wears her scars, her mistakes, and her quirks like badges of honor. She's not afraid to admit when she's wrong, because every misstep is a lesson that makes her stronger. Her imperfections don't define her worth. They shape her resilience. That's not weakness, that's power. Third, she chooses gratitude over bitterness. Life can throw curveballs, loss, betrayal, or unexpected challenges. Some might say it's stupid to stay positive when the world feels heavy, but a woman of strength doesn't let pain turn into suffering. She finds reasons to be thankful even in the darkest moments. Maybe it's the love of her family, the beauty of a new day, or the fact that she's still standing. Gratitude isn't denial. It's a conscious choice to focus on what fuels her spirit. That mindset transforms her life and inspires everyone around her. Fourth, she speaks her truth even when her voice shakes. People might call her naive for standing up for what she believes in, especially when it's unpopular, but real intelligence lies in authenticity. Whether she's calling out injustice, sharing her story, or simply saying no to what doesn't serve her, she knows her voice matters. She doesn't wait for permission or approval. She speaks because her words have the power to heal, to connect, and to spark change. That's not foolishness, that's courage. Finally, she never gives up, no matter how many times she falls. The world might label her stubborn or deluded for keeping going when the odds are stacked against her. But a woman of wisdom knows that perseverance is the ultimate rebellion against defeat. Every time she rises, after heartbreak, failure, or loss, she proves that her story isn't over. She's not defined by what knocks her down, but by how she gets back up. Her resilience is her legacy, and it's written in every step she takes forward. So, to every woman listening, don't let anyone's narrow definition of smart or stupid dim your light. You are not a stereotype or a checklist. You are a force, a creator, a warrior. Your intelligence shines in your courage, your gratitude, your truth, your imperfections, and your unbreakable spirit. Embrace who you are, because the world doesn't just need perfect women, it needs real ones. Keep dreaming, keep rising, and keep proving them wrong. Imagine a woman standing at the edge of her comfort zone, staring at a dream so vast it feels like it could swallow her whole. The world around her hums with skepticism, whispering that her ambitions are too big, too wild, too impractical. They call her foolish, naive, even delusional for believing she can carve a path where none exists. But this woman, she doesn't flinch. Her intelligence isn't measured by how well she follows the rules or sticks to the safe, predictable road. No. Her brilliance lies in her audacity, the unyielding courage to chase a vision that others can't yet see. This is the first mark of her strength. She dares to dream big, even when the world begs her to stay small. And in that defiance, she redefines what it means to be wise. Dreams are not just fleeting thoughts or childish fantasies. They are the seeds of progress, the blueprints of a future that doesn't yet exist. For this woman, her dream might be starting a business in a world that doubts her expertise. It could be creating art that challenges norms, or rebuilding her life after shattering loss. Whatever form it takes, her dream is her North Star, guiding her through uncertainty. She knows that intelligence isn't about having all the answers up front or avoiding risks. It's about trusting herself enough to take the first step, even when the path is foggy and the critics are loud. She's not reckless, she's strategic in her boldness, calculating her moves while refusing to let fear dictate her limits. The world often mistakes her ambition for folly because it doesn't fit their narrow script. Society loves to box women into roles, expecting them to prioritize practicality over passion, to choose security over possibility. But this woman, she rejects that script. She understands that every great achievement in history, every invention, every movement, every triumph began with someone who was called unrealistic. But she's not chasing dreams for applause or validation. She's doing it because she believes her vision matters. That belief is her power. It's what keeps her awake at night, sketching plans, solving problems, and imagining a world where her ideas take root and flourish. Consider the entrepreneur who pours her savings into a startup despite warnings that the market is too tough, or the artist who spends years perfecting a craft even when no one buys her work, or the single mother who enrolls in night classes, juggling jobs and dreams of a better future. These women aren't foolish, they're visionaries. Their intelligence shines in their ability to see beyond the immediate, to trust that their efforts will ripple out. They know that dreams don't come with guarantees, but they also know that giving up is the only true failure. Each step they take is a declaration: I am here and my vision is worth fighting for. This courage to dream big isn't just about personal gain, it's about legacy. When a woman dares to pursue her ambitions, she's not just building her own future, she's paving the way for others. Her success, or even her brave attempt, becomes a beacon for those who feel trapped by doubt or expectation. She shows young girls that they don't have to shrink themselves to fit someone else's idea of realistic. She proves to other women that their ideas, no matter how wild, deserve space to grow. Her dreams ripple, inspiring communities, shifting perspectives, and challenging the status quo. Of course, the journey isn't easy. Doubt creeps in, naysayers amplify her fears. There are moments when she wonders if the skeptics were right. But her intelligence isn't just in dreaming, it's in her resilience, her ability to keep going despite the noise. She adapts, learns, and refines her vision without losing sight of it. She surrounds herself with those who lift her up, not tear her down. And when she stumbles, she doesn't see it as proof of her foolishness, but as a lesson that sharpens her focus. In the end, this woman's strength lies in her refusal to let the world's doubts define her. She knows that intelligence isn't about conforming, it's about creating. Her dreams, no matter how big or unrealistic, are her rebellion against a world that tries to limit her. And as she builds her future step by courageous step, she proves that the truest wisdom is found in those who dare to dream beyond the horizon. Her vision is her victory, and her courage is her crown. Picture a woman who stands tall not because she's flawless, but because she's learned to carry her imperfections like a crown. Society is quick to judge, eager to point out where she falls short, her appearance, her choices, her past. They call her less than perfect, as if perfection were the only currency of worth. But this woman, she knows better. Her intelligence isn't found in chasing an impossible ideal or hiding her flaws to please the world. It's in embracing every scar, every mistake, every quirk as part of the extraordinary story that makes her who she is. This is her power. She wears her imperfections not as burdens, but as badges of a life fiercely lived. And in doing so, she redefines what it means to be strong. Perfection is a myth, a trap set by a world obsessed with surfaces. It's a standard that shifts with every trend, every critic, every fleeting opinion. Yet so many women are taught to chase it, to smooth out their edges, to silence their missteps, to present a polished facade. But the woman who is truly wise sees through this illusion. She knows that her imperfections, whether a physical mark, a regretted decision, or a moment of vulnerability, are not weaknesses to be erased. They are evidence of her humanity, her growth, her resilience. Each one tells a story of survival, of lessons learned, of battles fought and won. To her, these are not flaws. They are the threads that weave her into something far more beautiful than perfection could ever be. Take the woman who looks in the mirror and sees stretch marks from carrying life or lines etched by years of laughter and tears. She doesn't hide them, she celebrates them as maps of her journey. Or consider the woman who made a choice that led to failure, a career move that flopped, a relationship that crumbled. She doesn't bury that mistake in shame. Instead, she mines it for wisdom, letting it teach her how to move forward with clearer eyes. Even the quirks that make her stand out, her loud laugh, her unconventional style, her stubborn streak, are not things to apologize for. They are her signature, the unique notes that make her song unforgettable. This embrace of imperfection is not about settling or giving up on growth. It's about redefining what growth means. Intelligence for her lies in the courage to be honest about where she's been and who she is. She's not afraid to admit when she's wrong because every misstep is a chance to learn. She doesn't shrink from her vulnerabilities. She leans into them, knowing they connect her to others in a world that often feels divided. Her openness becomes a bridge, inviting others to drop their own masks and find strength in their truths. This is not weakness. It's a quiet revolution, a refusal to let shame dictate her worth. As the world may call her foolish for not hiding her flaws, for not playing the game of perfection, but she knows that chasing an unattainable ideal only steals her energy, her joy, her authenticity. Instead, she invests in herself, her passions, her relationships, her dreams. She surrounds herself with people who see her for who she is, not who she should be. She forgives herself for the times she stumbled because she understands that growth is not linear. It's messy, unpredictable, and all the more beautiful for it. Her imperfections also make her a beacon for others. When she stands unapologetically as herself, she gives permission to those around her, her friends, her children, her community to do the same. She shows young girls that they don't need to fit a mold to be worthy. She reminds other women that their value lies in their courage, not their compliance. Her life becomes a living testament that strength is not about being flawless, it's about being real. In embracing her imperfections, this woman transforms them into power. She knows that her worth is not tied to how perfectly she performs or how closely she matches someone else's ideal. It's in the way she rises again and again from every fall. It's in the way she laughs at her own quirks, learns from her own mistakes, and loves herself through it all. Her intelligence is her authenticity, her resilience, her refusal to be anything less than herself. And in that truth, she shines brighter than any illusion of perfection ever could. Imagine a woman standing in the midst of life's storms, loss, betrayal, or unexpected hardship crashing around her like waves. The world might expect her to crumble, to let bitterness take root and define her. They might even call her naive for holding on to hope, for seeking light in the darkness. But this woman, she chooses differently. Her intelligence isn't found in denying pain or pretending it doesn't exist. It's in her deliberate choice to cultivate gratitude, to find reasons to be thankful, even when life feels heavy. This is her strength. She transforms pain into purpose by focusing on what fuels her spirit, and in doing so, she grows into a force of resilience and inspiration. Gratitude is not a passive act or a denial of reality. It's a powerful, conscious decision to shift perspective, to seek out the fragments of good that exist even in the hardest moments. For this woman, it might be the warmth of a loved one's support, the quiet beauty of a sunrise, or the simple fact that she's still here, still breathing, still capable of moving forward. These are not small things. They are anchors, lifelines that keep her grounded when the world feels like it's unraveling. She knows that focusing on what she has rather than what she's lost doesn't erase the pain. It gives her the strength to carry it and keep going. Life is unpredictable, and no one escapes its challenges. A job loss might strip away financial security. A broken relationship might leave her heart in pieces. Illness or tragedy might shake her to her core. In those moments, it's easy to let anger or despair take over, to let the weight of what's wrong consume her. But this woman refuses to let her story end there. She's not naive. She feels the pain deeply, acknowledges it, and lets herself grieve. But then she searches for something to hold on to. A lesson learned, a kindness received, a spark of hope. This is where her wisdom lies, not in avoiding suffering, but in choosing not to let it define her. Consider the woman who, after a devastating setback, finds herself thanking the friend who listened without judgment, or the one who, in the hospital, feels a quiet gratitude for the nurse's gentle smile, or the mother who, despite sleepless nights and endless worries, gives thanks for her child's laughter. These moments of gratitude are not about ignoring the struggle. They're about finding balance, about refusing to let the darkness blot out the light. She knows that even in her lowest moments, there is something worth celebrating, something that reminds her of her own resilience. This choice to lean into gratitude reshapes her entire outlook. It's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. When she focuses on what she's thankful for, she's not just coping, she's building a foundation for growth. Gratitude becomes her fuel, energizing her to take the next step, to try again, to dream anew. It rewires her mind to see possibilities where others see only obstacles. It strengthens her relationships as her appreciation deepens the bonds with those around her. It even shifts how she sees herself, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a woman capable of finding meaning in every chapter of her life. Her gratitude also ripples outward, touching everyone she meets. When she expresses thanks, whether through a kind word, a heartfelt note, or a quiet act of kindness, she inspires others to do the same. She shows her children that joy can coexist with struggle. She teaches her friends that hope is a choice, not a gift. Her community sees her rise not because life spared her pain, but because she chose to find beauty in spite of it. Her example becomes a quiet call to action. Choose gratitude, and you choose power. In a world that often equates strength with stoicism or success with perfection, this woman's choice to be grateful might be misunderstood. Some might call it foolish or refusal to face reality, but she knows better. Gratitude is her rebellion against despair, her refusal to let pain write the end of her story. It's her way of saying, I am more than my struggles. Her intelligence lies in her ability to find light, to nurture it, and to let it guide her forward. And as she grows through gratitude, she proves that true strength is not about escaping pain. It's about transforming it into something beautiful. Picture a woman standing at a crossroads, her heart pounding as she prepares to speak her truth. The world around her is loud with expectations, urging her to stay silent, to conform, to keep her thoughts tucked safely away. They might call her naive or reckless for daring to voice what she believes, especially if it challenges the status quo or risks disapproval. But this woman, she chooses courage over comfort. Her intelligence isn't in knowing when to stay quiet or how to please everyone. It's in her unwavering commitment to authenticity, in speaking her truth even when her voice trembles. This is her power. She uses her words to heal, to connect, and to spark change, proving that her voice is not just heard, it's a force that reshapes the world. Authenticity is not a casual act, it's a bold declaration of self. For this woman, speaking her truth might mean standing up against injustice, whether it's in her workplace, her community, or even her own home. It could mean sharing her story, her struggles, her triumphs, her vulnerabilities, with a world that might not always listen kindly. Or it might be as simple yet profound as saying no to something that doesn't align with her values, refusing to compromise who she is for the sake of approval. Whatever form it takes, her truth is her compass, guiding her through fear and doubt. She knows that staying silent might be easier, but it would betray the fire within her. The world often punishes those who speak out, especially women. Society has long taught them to be agreeable, to soften their edges, to prioritize harmony over honesty. But this woman rejects that script. She understands that her voice is not just a gift, it's a responsibility. When she speaks, whether in a boardroom, a classroom, or a quiet conversation, she's not seeking permission or applause. She's claiming her space, asserting that her perspective matters. Her intelligence lies in recognizing that her words have power to challenge, to inspire, to build bridges where walls once stood. Even when her voice shakes, she speaks. Because she knows that authenticity is the root of all meaningful change. Consider the woman who calls out unfair treatment at work, knowing it might cost her a promotion, or the one who shares her story of overcoming hardship, risking judgment to help others feel less alone, or the artist who creates work that provokes, unafraid of criticism because it reflects her truth. These acts of courage are not naive, they are revolutionary. Each time she speaks, she dismantles the idea that a woman's worth lies in her silence. She shows that intelligence is not about knowing every answer, but about having the bravery to ask questions, to challenge norms, and to stand firm in her beliefs. This courage to be authentic doesn't come without cost. She faces skepticism, backlash, even isolation. There are moments when fear whispers that silence would be safer, but she pushes through because she knows that suppressing her truth would be a far greater loss. She surrounds herself with those who value her honesty, who lift her up rather than pull her back. And when she falters, she reminds herself that every word she speaks is a step toward a world where others can do the same. Her authenticity becomes a lifeline, not just for her, but for everyone who hears her. Her voice also carries a ripple effect. When she speaks her truth, she gives others permission to do the same. She shows young girls that their opinions are worth voicing. She inspires her peers to question what they've been taught to accept. Her community begins to shift as her courage sparks conversations that were once avoided. She becomes a living example that authenticity is not a weakness, it's a catalyst for connection and progress. In a world that often rewards conformity, her choice to speak her truth might be labeled foolish. But she knows that true intelligence lies in living authentically, in refusing to let fear or judgment silence her. Her voice is her rebellion, her way of saying, I am here and I will not be erased. Her courage to speak, even when it's hard, proves that her truth is not just powerful, it's transformative. And as she continues to use her voice, she builds a legacy of change, one honest word at a time. Imagine a woman who walks through a world eager to define her, to pin labels on her like badges she never chose. Society hands her a checklist, smart, beautiful, successful, perfect, and expects her to conform, to fit neatly into its boxes. If she strays, they call her foolish, flawed, not enough. But this woman, she sees through the noise. Her intelligence isn't in meeting someone else's standards or chasing their approval. It's in her fierce refusal to be anything but herself, in embracing her unique essence with unapologetic courage. This is her power. She rejects the world's labels and chooses to shine as her authentic self, proving that her worth is not borrowed, it's hers, undeniable and radiant. Labels are society's shorthand, a lazy way to categorize and control. They tell women they must be one thing or another, career-driven or nurturing, bold or agreeable, flawless or invisible. These expectations are traps designed to shrink her into a version that's easier to judge. But this woman knows her value doesn't come from fitting into someone else's story. She is not a stereotype, not a checklist, not a collection of shoulds. Her intelligence lies in her ability to see these labels for what they are, limits that don't deserve her energy. Instead, she chooses to define herself, to celebrate every part of who she is, from her strengths to her quirks to the dreams that make her heart race. Her authenticity is a rebellion against a world that thrives on conformity. She might be the woman who wears bright colors in a sea of neutral tones, unafraid to stand out. Or the one who pursues a passion that others call impractical because it sets her soul on fire. Or the one who says, "This is who I am," after years of trying to be someone else. She knows that embracing herself means accepting the messy, beautiful complexity of her being, her laughter, her fears, her ambitions, her contradictions. She doesn't need to be perfect or universally liked. She needs to be real, and that's more than enough.